Hello again, everybody. It's Lori White with the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce. Hope everybody is doing well today. This is episode number 180 of Chamber TV. And today, our very special guest is Lee Lewis. And Lee is the head of junior achievement in Rhode Island. And for the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to be talking with Lee about the very important service and guidance and professional development that they provide for teachers and also students, and how JA is an invaluable resource in the schools today for beginning to introduce our students, our young students, all about careers that are available to them, and even more importantly, about a big event that's coming up in a couple of weeks, where we'll get to really have a major presence at the convention center and talk all about the many careers that are topical today here in Rhode Island. So with that, I want to say hello to Lee. How are you today, Lee?
Good morning. I'm great. Thank you. How are you, Lori?
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. So first off, thank you so much for being with us today. And we were talking offline a little bit about the new JA and the JA experience. And you mentioned you are undergoing a rebranding effort. So for those of our listeners and viewers that are not familiar with JA, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so this year, JA Worldwide went through a global rebranding effort. We haven't gone through a rebranding in more than 30 years, and it was time for a refresh and update and really reflect what our organization is today versus what it was about 100 years ago.
So give us the overview. What's the 30-second elevator pitch about the JA experience, and let's talk about it from an employer point of view, or the business partner point of view. Why should someone really be interested in the work that JA is doing, and how does it make a difference?
Yeah, so from an employer point of view, and I share this all the time with our board and business employers that are involved in our organization. Um, JA is every business's business. We're helping to guide our young people to a path of career success. And we start at kindergarten and we now go all the way through college. So we're helping to really show young people what opportunities are out there, not only here in Rhode Island, but globally. And again, we start at the kindergarten, level as to why it's important to work and why do you want to work, and do you want to have fun at your job, and what should you be studying and what questions should you be asking, and again, all age appropriate. And as they uh, grow in their education, path. When you get into middle school, we go even a little bit deeper, and then at high school, even more deeper. And we're doing assessments with the young people. We're having them really explore what opportunities are out there. And we also do a lot around entrepreneurship in that pathway, and financial literacy.
So you have a very broad spectrum of activity, and so why, in your words, and I know that JA has a long, storied legacy as a partner to the school systems, but why is it even more important today that JA and its volunteer core? Why is it important to really dig deep into what's happening in our schools, particularly our elementary and middle schools?
Yeah, so right now we're seeing worker shortages across the board in every industry. Um, but we're also asking our young people to make a critical life decision in the eighth grade, and they haven't explored all what's out there. So JA kind of created a program called JA Inspire, which is a hands on career exploration program that ends with a capstone of a career fair at the Rhode Island Convention Center. So when eighth graders, are looking to go into high school, they have a choice here in Rhode Island. Do they go to a CTE program or a traditional high school program? And but they haven't had all of the education behind it to make that decision. So, if they want to go to college or if they want to go into a trade, are they picking the right courses in the right high school to do that? So that's what we've developed, JA Inspire, to really help kids make that critical life choice in the eighth grade.
Yeah. So you mentioned volunteers going into the classroom. My colleague Janet Raymond here at the Chamber chairs the JA Board of Directors, and she's really invested in the work that you're doing. And through her enthusiasm, has brought on a number of individuals to go teach during JA Day. Usually it's in the spring, if I'm not mistaken, Lee, but I have had the opportunity to join Chris Graham, who is the chair of the Chamber's Education Council, to actually go into elementary school. So we were teaching, in air quotes, youngsters in the first and second grade about how business works, the lessons of business, and examples of businesses that they might know in the community. And it was really a very, very interesting, inspirational series of moments for all of us that perhaps hadn't spent a lot of time in the classroom as of late, and having a chance to talk to the students and get them inspired, really, to use that word, inspired about the world of work. So, talk to us a little bit about some of the success stories that you have seen, Lee, as the longtime leader of JA, of business professionals going in and really working with the kids, and some fantastic outcomes. So, tell us a little bit about that.
I can really speak to the volunteer side because I volunteer every year myself, and I think as an adult and a leader running a company, I am inspired by our young people. I've never met a young person not willing to learn, but I think what excites me is when we're teaching a JA lesson or a concept, that moment when it clicks with them, when they get it. That's really exciting, I think, from a volunteer perspective. Um, I also think that uh, the important work by bringing in that business volunteer, kids can see what their future could look like. And JA has done, major surveys with our alumni, and 1 in 4 of our young people choose the industry of their JA volunteer. So there is a great connection by bringing in that business volunteer into the classroom, and then having the kids interact with that business volunteer to then kind of lead them into a path that they've explored and got to know a little bit about through their volunteer.
I love I love the way you describe, when you see something click, with when a student, all of a sudden, a light bulb goes off and they say, yeah, I know that, I love that, I can see that, I can see myself in that role. Tell us about a moment where you have seen that as a volunteer leader.
So the third grade program has a small civics lesson, and they plan out the town with buildings and different businesses, and then they do a tax payment. And the kids are excited, they're getting their paycheck, and we use fake money, and everyone gets a little bit for the work that they did in their business. But then the mayor comes around to collect the taxes, and it's funny how a third grader doesn't like to give up the money they just received for working in that program, but learning the importance of why they pay taxes. And they don't understand why they have to give their friend Joey, who's working as a firefighter, or their friend Sandra, who might be a librarian, why they have to give taxes so they can get paid for their job and their role in making the town work.
Yeah, very, very interesting, to see the different perspectives, and how the kids really identify with some of the key jobs in the community. And when we went into the classroom, we said, hey, give us an example of some businesses in your neighborhood. And it was great because they could immediately identify, the shop down the street, the store, the the bank. They could really process, what it all meant and how they can go in and make a difference and how they can interact with the customers. So, which leads us to this whole discussion of you have an important event that is coming up soon where your ideal is to, get a lot of businesses together to talk about the businesses that are present today, the types of jobs. And we have a saying, at the chamber when we're talking about workforce development is you can't be it unless you can see it. So that is, hits, home to directly to, some of what our students are feeling today, in that they may not have any idea that there are jobs or professions that are around offshore wind, as an example, relatively new profession, around the whole thing of data analytics and all kinds of digital design and course creation and the like. So tell us a little bit about the upcoming event and why it's important to be able to assemble businesses that have a specific role to play, but particularly those that are entering new fields.
Yeah, so J Inspire was created to help young people really start to explore what opportunities are out there. Um, and in the eighth grade, they do have a critical life decision to make as to what high school they go to and what educational path they need to take to prepare them for life after high school, and whether that goes right into a career or leads them into a 2 or 4 year college program. It really allows them to really start thinking what they need to accomplish within the 4 years of their high school experience. What makes Inspire, I think, really special for both the employer and the student is that it's hands on, it's real life. You talked about the wind energy. We a couple of years ago we had an actual wind turbine come in to the Rhode Island Convention Center, and to see how big that was close up, and to talk to the technicians and the creators and the men and women who are putting those up around the state as we're developing a new industry here in Rhode Island, was amazing to see, not only from an employer prospect, where they could actually talk to the young people about the jobs that will be available in the very near future, but also for the young people to say, wow, I can go up, hundreds of feet in the air and work on machinery and make a difference for our community by going to this new power source. And again, Inspire is hands on. So every company coming in is bringing some type of device or activity that has something to do with the work that they do in their company. Um, Bank of America brings a life size cell phone, and they're talking about mobile banking and the not necessarily being a branch manager, but working in their information technology department for a global bank, and the jobs that are available and what kids can be paid and what kind of education they need. I also think it's interesting that a lot of our companies share the benefits of coming to work for their group. And, college tuition reimbursement is the number one question that students are starting to ask right now. So I think the conversation that kids are having with the employers and the employers are having with the young people is so important.
I'd like to, really agree with what you're saying in terms of the need really to start young. So we're talking right now about eighth grade students, but you start as early as first and second grade to introduce the notion of careers and career paths. So some might say, gee, isn't that awful early to, to start talking about, college or career and technical education? And I know we have a terrible workforce shortage issue, skills gaps, and the like. So this is an important element that fits right into plugging some of those gaps. But help us understand why the JA team believes that starting early and leading up to the eighth grade, where then, as you mentioned, important decisions have to be made about high school and getting closer to choosing a career track and potentially college. Talk a little bit about those formative years.
Yeah, so at JA we believe starting in kindergarten, talking about careers and jobs, uh, will start to excite the young people to explore. So if we're talking at kindergarten, we're bringing it down to their level and what you do. But as the years progress and they're introduced to other business leaders and business volunteers, they can see the different career paths, and it might just spark that interest so that, they might want to learn more about math, or they might have a passion for history. And it just leads them, we believe, it leads them to a greater sense of purpose of why they're going to school every day. So we got to keep our young people motivated. We got to keep them interested in education. So by the time they're prepared to leave high school or college or trade school, that they are well prepared to be a functioning adult in Rhode Island.
Talk a little bit, Lee, about some of the activities and initiatives you have coming up in the next few months, and what we need to know about junior achievement and how we can help you with this very important mission.
Yeah, so I'll say that JA Inspire is our most important youth program event of the year. Inspire is programmatic. The kids go through 6 lessons to prepare them for the capstone experience at the convention center. So they're going in and learning about soft skills. They're doing a career assessment, interest survey, as to what they think they might like to do based on their personality. So they also then go and see what jobs align to that and are prepared by the time they come to the convention center to seek out those companies to learn more about it. So then they can go back and explore more with their teachers, guidance counselors, and parents. Um, we're expecting over 4,500 young people in December at the convention center, and we have over 70 companies signed up to date that are prepared to hang out with our young people for 2 days.
That's amazing. So, if some of our members and employers are listening to this and they're interested in potentially joining you and the 70 other companies and the 4,500 attendees, what do they need to know in order to, make a really good decision about participating?
Yeah, well, they can check out our website, ja.org, and click on programs and hit Inspire and go to the exhibitor tab, and it'll give them all the information they need to know. We are looking for companies like transportation and logistics for our young people, automotive, agriculture, aquaculture, manufacturing, communication, and arts right now. Um, and again, we find this is important for employers too, because we really need to start building that pipeline. And the earlier that we start and invest now, by the time these young people graduate in 4 short years, they'll be better prepared to come work for those companies.
So we only have a couple of minutes left, but I want to touch on another important element that you mentioned earlier on, and that was financial literacy and the importance of that. Speak to the JA experience in terms of really developing an acumen around the importance of managing your money.
Yeah, and again, we started kindergarten with that from savings and chores and why they help around the house. When you get into our middle grades, we're starting to explore what their life situation could be and what kind of budget they would need and why it's important to at least finish high school, if not go on to college. What college might cost, what an apartment might cost. Do you get a car? Do you use public transportation? So our programs really take a deeper dive at that middle and high school level for kids to really understand the realities of why they need to work and budgeting. Um, we also explore the return on investment for college and trade school, and what kind of opportunities are around that and how they might pay for it as well.
So, in the minute that we have left, Lee, if on the other side of the equation, if you're a parent or a student, even listening to this discussion, and interested in attending the event at the convention center, or even, you mentioned that that's the capstone event, but how can students plug in early enough so that they are able to participate and join 4,500 of their peers?
Yeah, so we're reaching out to all the schools here in Rhode Island to sign up. It's absolutely free. We have some wonderful sponsors like the Governor's Workforce Board, the Warren Alpert Foundation, Amgen, and Cardi's Furniture that are helping to provide this program for schools and students for free.
Fantastic. So we've been talking to Lee Lewis, who runs Junior Achievement here in Rhode Island. Very important workforce development program. And before we sign off, Lee, any final words of inspiration to share?
You know, I think for me personally, when we can offer kids the opportunity to see their future, the better off they'll be. And we do need employer support to do that. We need to show that they have a pathway outside of school. And the best way to do that is to get involved with JA Inspire.
Fantastic. So remember, you can't be it unless you see it. And that's really the model that JA is using here in Rhode Island to help train the next generation of talented workers here. So thank you so much, Lee, for being with us. This has been great. Good luck with the event in December. Really excited. And I know my colleague Janet Raymond, who chairs your board, is really excited about the tremendous outpouring of support from the business community for this project. So please feel free to come back anytime and keep us up to date on the important work that you're doing. So have a great day, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you, Lori.